Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Zamora two-player podcast. We are here for another Sidequest episode. Keen viewers will notice that I'm not joined by my brother today, but instead I have Sophie, a.k.a. mscupcakes, with me today. Sophie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I appreciate you doing this. Sophie does a lot of content creation, recently Street Fighter 6 heavy, but I know you've done some stuff with like Tekken, which you've told me you played as well, which you'd fit in very well here because my brother and I love Tekken. And I know you do play a lot of Souls and Elden Ring and that kind of stuff too that I've seen on your some of your channel highlights on Twitch. But today,
I'm all over the place.
a variety streamer at its heart, right?
Yeah.
So today we'll be mostly Street Fighter focused, because I know that's a game that my brother doesn't play a ton of, and I am obsessed with Street Fighter 6 right now. And I've never been one to like jump in on Street Fighter day one, but since that reveal, like I think it was last summer actually when we first saw like the initial teaser, I just cannot get enough of Street Fighter.
Yeah, I remember when that teaser came out, and for some reason, people just kept really hyper analyzing like Ryu's trousers for some reason. Like, look how realistic it is.
when you get like a 20-second teaser, like it's gonna get picked apart by the masses for sure. So I found your videos in the last few months. I stumbled on one of your, I think it was just like you had like recorded matches that you were posting, like very well strategized, like drip feed of like just a video every couple days or something, just to, whet the appetite. And because I'm also, so Chun-Li has been like my go-to on Street Fighter, pretty much as long as I can remember. So I know I would qualify you as a Chun-Li specialist.
Oh yeah, thank you.
And so, obviously got my attention with your Chun-Li videos you were dropping. So before we get into like Street Fighter 6 specifically, just tell me a little bit about just like your history with Street Fighter. Like when did you like I'm sure we all played it like sort of for fun in like the early days, but like when did you really start to like analyze or like figure out how you're supposed to like play Street Fighter at like a higher level?
Yeah, like exactly like you said, right? Growing up, you play video games and like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or whatever other fighting games, they're just another game that you would pick up and play and just whatever. I'm gonna go play another game now. I'm gonna play Final Fantasy, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really interesting because for me, when Third Strike Online Edition came out, that was on like the PS3 and Xbox 360. I was just having a great time playing it, and like the way that they had like all of these like missions, I suppose, like on the side of the screen. So it's like land 15 anti-airs or parry 17 times, or and it gives you this good kind of feedback in real time in the middle of a match. That's just kind of like, oh yeah, I need to actually learn how to parry. I need to actually get the timer down.
Those weren't like a mode. Those would just be there while you're playing other.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, because so it had two options. Like you could stretch it so it's a full widescreen game, or if you play the original like 4:3 aspect ratio, filling in the size of the screen would be these little objectives for you. And I really got into it, and I was like, it kind of scratched that bit of your brain, which achievements and all that sort of stuff. Like keep going, like, oh, I need to get the achievements.
Yeah, or like filling out a map on a big game, or just those little check marks, right?
Don't get me started. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I was playing online and getting absolutely demolished online. But there was this one Ryu player that I played against, and I was just like, it felt like I was fighting against like Daigo or something. Like it was like such another level.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to send this guy a message and just be like, hey, you're really good. Usually when you get an Xbox Live message, it's you suck.
Yeah. Telling them what they did with your mother last night or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect a response or anything, but he responded. He was really chill, and I was like,
Oh,
"Hey,
wow.
can you like show me how to be good at this game?" Because I wouldn't even know where to start. Because to me, it's just like these days, it's much easier because there's Discord communities, there's wikis, there's loads of
Sure.
places, and YouTube as well. You can just find a combo guide for a character.
Yeah.
But at that time, I felt pretty like it felt like a single player experience to get actually good. Like if you used to play in an arcade, you would just put money in and
Right.
fight against that one guy who's really good and get your ass kicked like 200 times.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess you could ask that person if they were nice how to
Yeah.
deal with it. But
But it costs
for
you more
me,
money to keep playing.
yeah. So it became like this collaborative experience then. And it was very much like, this is embarrassing to say, but it's like that sensei kind of like
For
Mr.
sure.
Miyagi experience where I'm
Yeah.
like, so we just did like mirror matches. Like Ryu became
Okay.
my main then in Third Strike.
Okay.
I really liked Makoto, but like I never got good with her in the same way as Ryu, right?
Right.
So we would play every other day for like a year or more.
Oh,
And
wow. Like this same person?
yeah, and
Oh,
it was
wow.
really just fun in a really interesting way, you know, because instead of just getting good at the game, you're also learning that specific player's play style. So you're no longer
Sure.
just, oh, I'm going to fireball and then I'm going to DP. You're like, okay, I know if I'm throwing a fireball out, he's going to do this. So what I'm
Right.
actually going to do is this instead. And there's just like these multiple levels of mind games that you get. Like from a 1st to 10, you can get it if you're playing against another player. You
Right.
see that evolve.
Yeah.
It doesn't really happen in ranked games because you're like 2 or 3 matches tops.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you don't get that adaptation, right?
You don't get that. Yeah, you don't get enough info download to be able to like figure that stuff out as quick.
Yeah, it's much more personal, especially over a year, you know. And so
Yeah,
it's
that's
still
crazy.
yeah, I'm actually thinking about it, being like, oh my god, yeah, that was wild.
Wow.
So like, no other game, like except maybe like League of Legends or something like that, kind of grabbed me, and I would play it every single night, kind of thing.
Okay.
So around this time, there's a bunch of anime conventions and gaming conventions in Ireland, and
Yeah.
they would always have a games room, but they would only have Street Fighter 4 or like
Okay.
Street Fighter 2 in a corner somewhere, like a specific setup of like Super Turbo that
Sure.
really dedicated players are playing.
Yeah.
So like I just got chatting to some people there, and they told me like, oh, there's weeklies where we all get together in Dublin and we just play Street Fighter 4 and we just have a good time, like have a small tournament every week.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, we'll go, but I should probably actually play Street Fighter 4
Right.
and try and get good at it.
at least like translate your skill to a new game to
Yeah.
see how much of it carries over.
Yeah, so I ended up picking Sakura because I didn't want to pick Ryu because I felt like it's boring.
Sure.
Play Ryu.
Sorry,
Nothing against
Ryu, but it's
players.
true.
But like he's a very good, like great character to learn the fundamentals of a game
Yes.
with, because you have a
Agreed.
very specific set of moves that you have, which don't change too much between games, and it allows you to just, you know, get everything else learned. So I was like, okay, Sakura, she's kind of similar. She's a Shoto. She has a Tatsu. She has a Fireball.
Yeah, that's a pretty
Um,
that's a pretty close like more of a horizontal jump than learning a whole new character. Because like,
Yeah,
they
like
have a
the
lot
first
of similar
time.
moves.
I played Street Fighter 4. I tried to play Jury, and
Okay.
like that's a whole other thing because
Yeah.
you had to charge her projectiles, but then you had to hold down the button and then release it to
Right. I
fire it.
remember that in 4. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so that was a bad idea for
Yeah.
me to come up with the
I'm
first
glad they
character.
dropped that.
Yeah, so I practiced like this one combo, and it was a terrible combo. It was just like raw EX Tatsu into Super 1. It
Okay.
looks super cool, but it's the thing is, like, I was just practicing against AI,
Sure.
and then you would just catch them doing stuff.
Right.
But then against real people, it's this whole other thing, right?
Right.
So I went and I entered, and I was terrified. And people like kind of crowded around me, and I could hear people taking bets. 'Cause this
Oh,
is my first
no.
time there. I was like, I'll bet you €1 that she loses. And I was like, I'll take that bet. You know, she's gonna win. And I won my first 2 matches.
Oh wow.
And I was like pumped up. I was like, yeah, here we go.
Yep.
And I don't think the match was on stream, but another match that was being recorded, you can hear in the background people popping off and being like, "Give me my euro." Yeah, Miss Cupcakes won. Give me that euro. And it's like, just while they were commentating another match, it was great. And I just made like great friends from that, you know.
Sure. And I mean,
Like,
at that point, you're hooked pretty much. Like, yeah,
you enter. There's like these multiple stages to playing a fighting game. You play it really casually as if it's any other game.
Yeah.
Then you play it at home and you're like, oh, wow, I'm really good at this. I'm so good at this. I'm going to enter a tournament.
Then you get your ass kicked.
When you hit level 3 and you realize you are bad at this game. And all those hours you put in, you weren't thinking about all this other stuff, which now you know about. You know about footsies, you know about Oki, you know about frame data. I bet you never heard about frame data before. And then it's just like, whoa. And that's when the real fighting game experience kind of kicks off, that community where it's, you know, you're fighting against each other, but there's still this sharing of information and it's just, you're having a good time. Even if you lose.
It's an interesting dynamic where it's like, I'm going to kick the shit out of you, but also I'll help you after, figure out how I kick the shit out of you.
After the match. Not in the middle of the match. Because I'm still going to take advantage of it. It's like, that was pretty good. But you let me jump in 17 times. You probably shouldn't let me do that.
And that's such a good identifier of like a good fighting game community. Like even like at a local level, just like having people that won't just like, you know, like style on you and then just like brag about how they're gonna put it on Twitter that night. You know what I mean? Because I've definitely dealt with a share of that before, and it's really unfortunate. But it's so much more encouraging when you find a group that's more like that like act, because like at the essence of it, it's like that's the only way that community will get better is if you encourage newer people in and train them up, not just bring them in to destroy them, because they're never going to come back. Like that. What fun is that if you go in every week and just get stomped every time, right?
And like I remember after I lost, someone in the back had a laptop with 2 fight sticks hooked up to it, and they were playing Melty Blood, which for people who don't know,
I think I know what that is.
It's one of the more obscure anime fighting games, but a new one did come out last year, which it features like this wild cast of characters, but like I had never heard of it before, and I was just sitting there and we were just playing, and one of the characters is really popular on the internet now, called Neko Arc, which is a small cat character.
I've definitely heard that name.
Who's gets into trouble, likes to cause trouble, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to play this game. But it's not an easy game to find because
I've never.
It was not like released on consoles. Actually, maybe it was, but like I certainly couldn't find it. So the only times I got to play it was when he brought his laptop and it's like, oh, you got knocked out? Yeah, let's play. Let's play some Melty Blood.
Sure, yeah. Like after your bracket or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't know that you had gone to like weeklies like that early on in it. They started doing weeklies here, I think just last week, for Street Fighter. This is how casual I am at fighting games. Like I played a lot of Smash Brothers, and this
interview is over.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
And because it was just one of those games too that like I would play all the time with friends, and exactly how you described, like, oh, I'm pretty good at this game, I should go to a tournament, and get completely destroyed. And so anyway, I know the weekly because of that. Like I was going to Smash weeklies for a long time, and they started doing Street Fighter, but I'm way too intimidated to go to play Street Fighter yet at those tournaments, because I'm not even at that point where I think I'm very good yet. You know, I'm not at that.
That's the thing is like
that first stage.
I don't think you need to wait for a bit where because honestly, you will start getting good the more you fail and the more you lose, because I try and think about it like this. If you lose, you have done something during that match which you can learn from, you know?
Right.
There's always a learning experience from every loss.
Right.
And it's the thing about fighting games that's hard for a lot of people is you can't blame other people. Like in League of Legends, you got 4 other people on your team. It's so easy to deflect blame to them, be like, "Oh, Timo, why didn't you go and kill that guy?" I was just going to kill that guy. Why didn't you do that? Oh, you put the mushroom in the wrong place. Blah, blah, blah. But like, you have to either blame the connection online, which is a very easy one to go for. Or you'd be like, "Oh, that character's cheap. Throwing fireballs is cheap." Blah blah blah. But like, the real test is like, once you get to that point where it's like, okay, I can improve and I will improve. That's the bit where the real joy of fighting games, and it's a very tough hurdle to get over.
It is, yeah. And like, I know we joked about Smash Bros, but like, that is like when I started going to them is when I actually started getting really good at it. Like, where I thought I was good before, when I was going to like the weeklies, and obviously I'd get against people that were way better than me. But you're so right. It's like, that's how you improve, is getting to that point where you're going against really good people. And you have more to learn from when you lose than when you win. But I'm just too timid still. I know I'm not that great at. I was in bronze the entirety of Street Fighter V that I played it, which I didn't play like a ton of. I think I'm almost already at more hours in 6 than I was in 5. But and I just got to like silver like over the last week. And like, that was like a milestone for me, and that's the level of skill I'm dealing with. But the nice thing about where Street Fighter 6 is like in the zeitgeist right now, and which is why I was watching your Road to Diamond video, which we'll talk briefly about later, because that was really fun. But it's like, now that I've had enough time with the game, especially with Chun, it's like, when I watch better people play that character, I can see what they're doing now. And it's like, oh, like when you do a move, like that's not like a special, it's like I can kind of see the combo you're doing, and I know what buttons you're pushing to do that, if that makes sense.
It's like that GIF where like a character is doing calculations and all of the equations flying around. It's funny you say that, right? Because I think a lot of people who don't play fighting games like in a very serious way can relate to watching a high level match like Evo finals or something. And there's that moment where the 2 players are crouching and they're just waiting. You're waiting to see what the opponent does. And for a long time, I'm like, what can they see that I cannot see? Like, this is like a chess match. I'm thinking 12 moves ahead right now.
Right.
And like, why are they just sitting there? It's like, it's so...
just throw a fireball or something.
And you can get to that level where you're like, okay, I don't 100% understand all of the intricacies of their specific characters, but I can see like the 3 different things that could happen from here. Right. And they're waiting to see, and he's getting ready to punish her, jump in, but it totally is that moment. It's just like, boom, it clicks. I get it.
100%. Yeah. And it's like you see the matrix, like you see the code at some point and it's like, my issue, and this is just probably an issue I don't know. Well, I don't know if I'll ever get over, but I'm sure it just takes hundreds of hours to get better at. It's like, often when I get to that point with a fighting game where like I'm watching tournament like high level play, and I'm like, oh, I know, I understand the buttons you push to do exactly that, but I can't do that. I can't push them that fast, or I can't do it that quickly. So like, it's like my execution is my my bottleneck. But that also just, regardless of whether or not I go to weeklies or how I place in tournaments, it just makes watching those tournaments so much more fun when you're that into the game that you're seeing all that stuff. It's like you're watching a different screen than someone that's watching it that has never played, right? And I love watching high level play of a game that I have a lot of time with, just because. Especially when like they have good commentary, and like it's like when why the commentators are like popping off, it's like that much more exciting because you understand how big of a deal it is what just happened or whatever, right? So that's a good history with that. I will eventually get my nerves up and go to a Street Fighter Weekly. I'll make that commitment, but.
I mean, it is intimidating that first time, and I guess it's important as well that like the people who are actually part of those weeklies have to be welcoming in some way to new players.
Yeah,
So
which
if
is the
they're
part
not,
I'm
you
like, that's the part I'm like not sure, unless there's just a very different group of people that go to the Street Fighter part of the tournaments than the Smash, which, you know, makes sense that it would be different people. But I've definitely
yeah,
had
I
some
mean,
bad experiences at the one I go to, so that's why I'm kind of like, meh, I don't need.
I joked about it a little bit earlier, but like Smash is a really fun game and it's
Yeah,
good. And there has always been this elitism of, oh, it's not a real fighting game. You
yeah,
go play
I
that over
know.
there. We're gonna play real fighting
Yeah,
games, and it's not traditionally a fighting game by like, the fighting games have a very specific kind of formula, right?
yes,
And Smash completely deviates from it, but at its core it's a 1v1 and you are reacting to what your opponent is
yeah.
doing, and so yeah, it definitely fits in there.
Listen,
So
you play
you
League of
know
Legends, I play Smash. We all have our faults. Okay, it's fine.
I don't play it anymore. I just want to
Damn
put it
it.
on record. I
Okay.
don't play it anymore.
I dug myself a hole.
I've changed. I've changed.
Uh, it's funny because I why did I boot Smash up? I was checking something. Oh, I had my Switch hooked up to a new monitor, and I was like, oh, I was just doing the thing where like I want to see how all my games look on this monitor now, and I loaded that game. I was like, man, I haven't played this at all since like the first Street Fighter 6 beta, because I just like I couldn't. I can only do like one fighting game at a time, maybe, because I need my
Oh
brain to
yeah.
like think in that language and not the other game's language.
That's a good analogy as well, because when Tekken 7 came out,
Yeah.
like I don't remember exactly what happened, but I'm pretty sure I just played Tekken 7 for like 2 months.
Hmm.
And then going back to Street Fighter 5, it was like, oh, there's only 2 dimensions, and I need, because it just just having a three-dimensional fighting game, it messes with you because you're, oh, I
Yeah.
can just sidestep this, or
Yeah.
I've got to think about. Tekken is so complex. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, but yeah, I
I'm
the
nervous for
barrier to
when
entry
8.
for that is huge compared
Yes.
to Street Fighter.
And I'm nervous for when 8 comes out because I'll have so much Street Fighter on my brain by that point. It's going to be so hard to remember how to play my characters in Tekken. And then they'll both be out at the same time, and that's going to be a pain for
Gotta make a
like,
tough choice.
yeah.
That's wild though, is like people who are able to go to Evo and they place like top 16 in multiple games.
Yeah, that is
It's so
insane
impressive to me.
Yeah. That is
Like,
I don't know how you do. I mean, you must just play those two games all the time and nothing else. That's the only way it makes sense to me that someone could pull that
yeah, I
off.
mean,
That's crazy.
if whenever I play just even a different character, like I catch myself doing, oh, that's a Chun-Li combo I just
Yeah.
heard. Like going from Street Fighter 5 to Street Fighter 6, like Chun-Li has so much more complexity to her.
Yes.
And also stuff that worked in Street Fighter 5 just doesn't work anymore. So I'm like
Yes.
constantly catching myself doing that. I'm like, oh, I could have actually got a good punish if I didn't try to do the Street Fighter 5 combo
Yeah.
just now.
There's like I think one of and you're the specialist, so you tell me if this was what I'm remembering. I feel like 5 it was like standing light punch, medium punch, and then crouching medium kick into suit like EX legs or something. I feel like that was a Street Fighter 5 combo. And it does not work, I don't think. I don't think you can combo into crouching medium kick.
Would you like to know the wildest just regular combo for Chun-Li in Street Fighter 5? It's 3 moves, but it is crouching. Oh, is it medium punch or light? It might be light punch. It's been a while now. But you start with a crouching, and then you go up into a standing, and then you are charging down the whole time. So
yes.
You do a
I know
spinning
the
bird
combo
kick out of a standing punch.
I've seen
I
that.
got that down after like a month.
I've seen that, and I'm just like, and this was after I had played. I think it was after I played the beta, so I had like 2 days of playing Chun-Li to like to be a little bit at that point where it's like I see them do something like, oh, I know what that was, and I'm like, wait, how did he do spinning bird kick? He was standing. Like
Yeah.
I've ever seen that. I'm like, what the hell did I just see? Because it's like you said, you have to like start charging it as soon as you let go, or as soon as you hit the punch, or what.
As soon as the animation starts playing, and it's is just enough time. Like
Yeah.
there's no leeway at all. Either you get it or you don't get it. But it's such a good neutral combo that it's like worth knowing.
Yeah. That is one of those cases where it's like, I know what you did, but I cannot do it. I cannot pull it off. But anyway, yeah, that's why I like being super into Street Fighter right now while it's like fresh and new, because there's just so much content that I can watch and get stuff out of. You know what I mean? And so like watching your, and we'll talk about that now actually. Watching your, what was it, Road to Diamond, I think is what you called it.
Yeah.
When you're doing your placements. Watching those was fun because I just watched it like the other day. So I've been playing Street Fighter for, well, since it came out. So it's like I was really like having a lot of those like aha moments watching you do certain things. I'm like, oh, I should use that move more or that setup more and stuff. So I do get a lot out of watching that. And it was such a roller coaster. I watched the whole video, and well, I'll let you explain what happened at the end. It was really funny.
Okay, well, so what I did with that video was I had an initial plan of making an edited, like, cool video, and I asked people, like, hey, should I just put the whole thing up, like, unedited? I'll put the whole
like
journey
all
up.
10 placement matches.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, do it. It's great. It's fun. And it's just a slice of my stream, basically.
Yeah.
So no edit at all. And as I go through it, like I fight Jamie for the first time. I fight Marisa for the first time. Like this, honestly, looking back, it was a bad idea to jump in straight away with no matchup experience. But I was thinking to myself, oh no, I'm in silver. Oh no, I'm definitely like, I'm in gold right now. Let's see where we go. And I won against this Marisa, and I'm like, okay, let's see, gold. I'll be happy with gold. And it just goes diamond. And I'm like, freaking out, and I'm like, this can't be right. The game made a mistake. This can't be right. And I was just in the moment, like, yeah, rematch. I just beat her. I'll beat her again. Let's keep the climb going.
The hubris.
And oh my god!
Or I think you even called that chapter of the video like what was it? The moment you flew too close to the sun, or something along that line.
Yeah,
I forget what you had it exactly.
I have it written down here. Okay, I'll just like Icarus, who fell from the sky, plunged into the sea and drowned, I too am the victim of my own hubris. You need the echo on it.
Yeah, that's much better.
So anyway, I lost and got immediately demoted to Platinum 5, which is still a good rank, by the way, like a good placement rank. But I was in shock, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Everybody here, you're in on this. I'm going to post that I'm diamond. I hit diamond in my placements. That's not a lie. I'm going to post it on Twitter. You guys got to be like, yo, oh, that's so hype. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. I was hyping it up, and I even posted like on YouTube. You can do just regular posts to kind of hype people. I'm like, I hit diamond. Like watch out for the video soon, because I knew it'd be a really funny just like moment. And the thing is, right, is I think people find it refreshing as well, just the honesty of keeping that in. I very easily could have just ended the video at diamond and be like, yeah, look at me.
And it, like, I don't know, like from what I've watched of like, like your stream VODs and stuff, it's like that feels more true to like the kind of community you create within, right? Like the kind of community for your like Discord and your video creation. Mm-hmm. It's just like, can't take ourselves too seriously here. You know what I mean? Like just like having fun with it, right?
I mean, it's something that happens a lot. Is that I will be like, I'm the best. I'm so good at this. Watch this. And then I lose magnificently. And people will say like, oh, you set that up. You did that on purpose. It just happens organically. And I think that's the best thing is like, yeah, I don't mind being the butt of my own joke.
Sure.
We're just having a good time. I can laugh at myself.
Yeah.
But like sometimes people, I don't get this on Twitch, but on YouTube, I'll post a video that's in good spirit and in good fun, and they take it so seriously. And it's like, actually, you did really badly. You shouldn't have uploaded this. What are you doing? And it's like, I'm laughing in the video. Like, what's wrong with you?
Did you not watch the video to understand the tone? Which they probably didn't, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's just with putting your stuff out online. That's just I think it was actually on one of your videos I had commented that like, oh, this is like my favorite version of Chun, like just her design. And someone immediately is like, it's the worst. I'm like, well, then what are you watching it for? Like, get out of here.
Oh, you know
People
what?
like that.
Actually, because I get notifications, and I think I should turn it off. There's a certain level where you get inundated with so many comments, and some of them are just trash, like from people who are looking to start a fight, looking to just be
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that, and then I remember seeing that same person then comment again, being like, "Oh, no wonder nobody plays Chun on my combo trials video." I was
Oh,
like, she has difficult combo trials, right? But if you
right.
go to any game, like Street Fighter 4 especially, you try to play all of the combo trials for a character, you're gonna get stuck.
Yeah.
Like
I
that's
don't
not
think I ever
indicative of
finished them for like Chun-Li.
yeah. Exactly. So, it's just like yeah, I don't pay them too much mind.
Nah.
But like the one video like that blew up was the Chun versus Manon match.
Yeah, I think that's
It
the
has
one I
like
found, honestly. I think that's the one I found of yours for the first time.
yeah, and it caught me off guard because right now it has like what 130,000
Yeah.
views, which
Crazy.
is crazy because I've been streaming on Twitch for a really long time, but I never really got into YouTube. Like you'll
Sure.
see like over the past few years I've uploaded like highlights from streams or
Yep.
like silly little joke videos and stuff.
Yep.
But they would never get more than like 300, 400 views or something like that. So for me, I was like, okay, I could just stream for 4 hours on a Saturday
Yeah.
and I'd get like 100, 120 viewers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could edit a video for 4 hours and get like 100 views.
Right.
But it feels so much more isolated because it's like, okay, I've put a lot of work in.
Yeah.
It goes out into the world. And 120 live viewers feels so much more personal and real versus
Sure.
100 just views on YouTube,
Yeah.
And it's a really weird mental thing to try and deal with.
For sure.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and it is a lot more like there's just two sides to both, I guess. Like I used to stream a lot and it's like you definitely have to be on more when you're streaming just
yeah.
because you have to be or at least you want to be entertaining and whatever.
Mhm.
So that has its own like mental exhaustion that comes with it after a while, but as long as you have like a good enough schedule that it's not like you feel like you have, and you can't be like chasing numbers too hard. I feel like that's what was my problem in the beginning. Was like, oh, I need to get my channel to this level, and it's like for me, doing that can just like add to my anxiety about it. So it's like, no, I'm just gonna stream the games I enjoy, and people that come to watch will see that I'm authentically having fun, and like that's more what I cared about in the end. Because people that will just chase the popular game and stuff like that, it's like I don't know. I feel like that just takes a toll on you mentally. But then YouTube stuff could be the same, where like you said, like your videos, the editing you must put into them just takes hours and hours and hours, and it's a lot less gratifying if it's just like a view count number going up, slowly or whatever.
Yeah. It's very easy to hyper focus on numbers and metrics.
Yeah.
And you forget about why you do it in the first place, which is, as I said, just to have fun.
Yes.
Like like anyone who starts off on Twitch and is like, okay, I'm gonna make it big. I'm gonna have 1 million subscribers, like, and all this sort of
It's
stuff.
a fool's errand.
You're just gonna be miserable the whole time. Like
Yep.
if you start off, when I started streaming on Twitch, like I streamed to basically myself
Yeah.
and maybe one person who would come in and out over the course of like a year or more.
Yep.
And with the Dark Souls stuff, like I think let's see, maybe 40 people would be the most that I'd have for when I would stream like Dark Souls stuff.
Sure.
And I was having a really good time, and I would do all these little challenge runs, and where let's play where I can only use a shield to beat the whole game, or I can only.
I saw a list on your. I think it was on your Twitch page, a list of like challenge runs or something like that you've done or are working on in like Dark Souls games. I think I saw a list of that stuff, and I was like, God, who would do this to themselves?
Why? Yes, just what is wrong with you? Yeah, I mean, it's just fun. Like, it's kind of the same with fighting games, where it's like, oh, I want to keep practicing, I want to keep better. And the game with Dark Souls, there's no difficulty settings, so you make your own
True, yeah.
difficulty. And I mean, Dark Souls is not an easy game
No.
series to get into in the first place, but like, I was watching so many different streamers, and like, they introduced me to that whole concept of like, oh yeah, you can install a mod that makes all of the enemies really aggressive. So you can't sit in any bonfires for too long because they'll just walk to the bonfire and they'll start killing you while you're sitting down.
Oh,
And I'm like,
God.
this sounds amazing. And like, oh, they're in different areas now. Just like, it's like playing a new game almost,
Sure.
it's just excitement. And it's not to show off. It's just literally just to have more fun,
Yeah. Well, when you know a game inside and out too, like it's just a nice way to enjoy that game again,
Yeah.
without being able to just like do it, without even trying or thinking, basically. I hear a lot of people talk about like randomizers in that way, that like it just makes them fall in love with an old game again, because they have to just think and approach the game differently for the first time in like 20 years.
Yeah, like is it A Link to the Past is like that's the
That,
one that comes to my mind straight
that
away when
one,
someone says a randomizer.
I'll think of that in Ocarina of Time. I see randomizers for those
Oh,
games
I
like
haven't seen that
all
yet. That's cool.
the Ocarina of Time ones can get wild, it's like I guess you can even like set it up to a point that's like the randomizer will have logic that you don't need to know how to do this really hard speed runner trick in order to
Mm,
progress. So it has like almost like difficulty levels in that sense. That's like you can complete this if you just haven't played Ocarina in time in 20 years and can't do any of the fancy speedrunner stuff. But you
right,
just
yeah.
have to approach it differently. So it sounds a lot like what those kind of challenge runs do. And I used to do stuff like, like I'm a big Zelda nerd, and like on all of the 3D Zeldas, I would do a challenge run for myself where I don't pick up any heart containers for the whole game, even when you beat a boss. So I had
Oh,
to
wow.
beat the whole game with 3 hearts or whatever. And some of like the later games, it's like everything one hit kills you at the end, so you just can't get hit anymore. So I would do stuff like that too, back in the day before mods and stuff. So
That's hardcore. That's really cool.
I mean, it was like you said, it's just a way to have more fun with a game you've played a bunch of times again, right? Telling me I'm hardcore with Zelda, the stuff you do on Dark Souls feels,
It's been a while,
it's
in
child's
fairness.
play.
Like
Yeah,
that was kind of my whole shtick before Street Fighter V came out. Like I would stream like Street Fighter 4, and I noticed when I played Street Fighter, I would get just more viewers than Dark
sure,
Souls for some reason.
sure.
And it was just literally me and some friends messing around. Like we would do Makoto mirror matches, and it
Okay.
would just be like, grab you by the scruff of your neck. I said, okay, well, yeah, well, I'm gonna grab you by the scruff of your neck, and it's just that for like hours. And I was like, oh well, people actually like to watch this. So when Street Fighter V came out, I was like, I'm streaming this straight away. I'm gonna stream the beta. I'm gonna do all this,
Yeah.
and really shocking, like just how many people tuned in for Street Fighter V. Like I mentioned, like the most viewers I had for Dark Souls was like 40.
Sure.
Like I was streaming to like 500 or 600 people all of a
Wow.
sudden, and I was like, okay, I need to like calm down. Like it's because
Letting it
I'm
get to
still
your head.
myself on stream, but there's that element of like, oh, hang on a minute. If I actually visualize how many people is 600,
Yeah.
in one place watching me drop this combo and lose,
Sure.
but that's where the bit comes in, where it's like, okay, I need to learn how to make fun of myself, and
Yeah.
like if I lose, not get like upset, and
Yeah.
because although people do watch streamers in order to just see them get upset and
Yeah,
like
but I don't think that's
outrage.
the kind of viewer you want. Like, you don't want people
Oh
that
no.
are only tuning in to see you lose your shit. That is that's not long term support. I don't think those
No.
viewers.
But yeah, that's kind of how I became like associated with Street Fighter.
Mm.
At that point was Street Fighter 5, and I picked Chun-Li because I didn't want to pick Ryu. No offense to Ryu players. I still think he's cool. He's a good character. He's cool. But like I was like, I want to be someone else. So I picked Chun-Li, but she was available in the beta, and I was like, oh, lightning legs. I don't have to just like tap kick over and over
Yeah.
again.
Oh, was
I
5 the
hate
first
that
time
input
they
so
did
much.
that?
For her, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's just quarter circle forward kick,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I can actually play this character now.
Yeah.
And I would build myself up, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm the best Street Fighter 5 player in my house." And then I'd be like, boom, and just like I put on this silly, obviously, like I'm making fun of myself person. I don't actually think I'm the best player in my house, but but it's just kind of like I'm the Irish Chun player, and you want to fight me? I'll kick your ass, and just I would just fight people. I barely played ranked in Street Fighter 5 because the majority of my time I was streaming, and I was like, okay, who wants to fight? Okay, you, yeah, you. I'm gonna fight you. Let's do it first to 5. Who's next? And I would just have this list of people in my community, or just people who would randomly pop in and be like, "Oh yeah, I'll fight you. I'm gonna kick your ass." And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll see how it goes." And like a lot of times, someone would come in and they'd like puff up their chest and be like, "Oh, you're not that good." And I'd be like, "Okay, let's see how it goes." And very rarely that type of person would actually be better than me. This usually the people who are really braggadocious and they're like, "Nah, you're terrible."
They just think they're the best person in their house.
Exactly, right? Like, your mom is better than you. Okay. And she's nicer than you as well. But yeah, that kind of became my thing for a while.
That's cool. That's a fun way to like build that community.
Yeah, I would always, and I still do, I prioritize just having fun over rank or winning tournaments and stuff. Like,
sure,
if I'm having a good time and my community's having a good time, like most of the time you just want to play with someone, and just some people would just play to get feedback as well. Be like, "Hey, I play Chun-Li as well. I've learned from watching you, how do I do this combo? Or can I fight against you so I can get the matchup knowledge and stuff?" And like that's a crazy point to get to when you realize, oh, actually, I might be good at the game. Sure. I brag about it, but people are like, "Oh, I picked up Chun-Li and I'm watching your stream and you've helped me get better." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay, I didn't expect that to ever happen." Yeah, and there's way better players than me, but
sure, but
I'm approachable.
It can also be it can also be the person, like not necessarily their skill with the character, but also like approachability. It would be a thing, and just like even like the way you like some people will talk while they're playing can be like that helps me a lot when someone does something like, "Oh, I should have done this," or that type of commentary. That I get a lot out of that, because it's like
you hear that a lot from me. "Oh, why did I do that? I should have done this instead."
Yeah, and that's why I actually get a lot out of your videos, because that's how I talk to myself when I play. And so it's like when I hear someone at a higher level than me doing that, it helps like train me to think to like know what I should be thinking, if that makes sense. So it depends on the person big time, not just how good they are with that character, but also how they approach making their content. That goes a long way for sure.
Totally, yeah. And there's sometimes that I'd like to just speak out loud and be like, "Okay, I'm going to jump. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into this combo. Yeah. If they're going to do this, I'm going to do this instead." And when that happens and everything goes exactly as I planned in my head, like, and I've verbalized that, and people are like, "Wow, you're really good." And I'm like, there's a reason I don't do this for the whole stream.
Yeah. It would be real annoying after a while, I guess, if you're trying to like interact with your viewers. So this small Discord group I'm in, we play Final Fantasy 14 together, and while Street Fighter's been happening, I'll just stream in like a little channel with a couple of my friends in there, because some of them don't play it but like to watch it, and I'll catch myself doing stuff like that sometimes, especially if I got like hit by the same move because I kept jumping in. I'll just be playing like streaming to them, like, "Okay, don't jump, just don't jump. Why did you jump?" Like, so it's like I do that same sort of like running commentary. And sometimes I need to hear it out loud to do that thing or not do that thing. So yeah, I totally get that for sure. And it helps a viewer for sure. Like in, someone watching your videos, like hearing that commentary, for me at least, that I get a lot of like knowledge out of watching that, rather than just trying to follow everything visually. So, that's a big help. Okay, we've been going a little long. Let's take a quick, like 5-minute bio break.
Sure.
Because I absolutely want to talk to you about your trip to Capcom.
Oh yeah, let's do
And we've
that.
been going on way longer than I thought, so I just want to make sure we cover that as the second half.
Cool, sounds good.
So we'll do a quick 5-minute break, and we'll jump right back in.
Cool, see you then.
Great, thanks. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Back here talking with mscupcakes. So I want to talk briefly about you did a trip to Capcom London, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
In the lead up to Street Fighter 6. I watched your like vlog style video on that. But just tell me a little bit about that experience, because that would be, with all the hype leading up to SF6.
We can talk about Final Fantasy 16 if you want.
Trust me, you are on the right podcast for that stuff. But yeah, just with all the hype leading up to Street Fighter, that must have been insane to be able to go do that. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
It was like a 1-day round trip you did too, I think you said.
Oh yeah, it was a mistake. I should have I should have found like a hotel or something just like to stay overnight, because I was exhausted. Like basically, I can't give too many details. There's some stuff I can't talk about.
For sure,
but,
absolutely, yes.
It was a really wild ride, because I knew that Street Fighter 6 was going to come out relatively soon. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to the Capcom community manager guy, and this is a good example of just ask for things, and make that first step and make contact, right. And it can lead to stuff that you don't expect. So my expectation was like, okay, I'm going to reach out to Capcom, like, hey, yeah, it's been a while since I played Street Fighter 5, but I was, pretty popular on Twitch, and, I played Chun-Li, and I helped stream tournaments and stuff as well, which we can talk about later.
Absolutely.
And basically, there's this kind of spiel that you give, because it's a different community manager than who I used to deal with for Street Fighter 5. So I was like, okay, I need to reintroduce myself, establish who I am. And it's a good tip for streamers as well. You can make like a little deck that you have just with your various stats, like what you're about, what you play, mm-hmm. what your community's like, and other companies you've worked with. So I was basically just going to be like, okay, maybe I can get a review copy of the game or something early, so I can do something. And I messaged him, and he was like, oh, I know who you are. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, let's do stuff.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, whoa, really taking it back. I was like, okay, cool, perfect. So I can just kind of talk to you, and just we'll figure stuff out together. And he just prompted me and was like, oh yeah, there's this thing going on in London. We would love to have you come over. It's on this date. And it was like a week in advance. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And I wanted to try and be more outgoing and be like, you know what? Yes, I will do. I want to try say yes to more things this year. So I said, yeah, let's do it. And I work a full-time job. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try book that day off.
Yeah.
And I booked it off. I booked flights, and I was like, okay, I'm going. So wow. I woke up that morning. I bought a new hard drive, and I popped it in my bag. I brought my stuff with me, and I flew over. And it was like, I think it was like 6 a.m. I woke up, went to the airport, and I got home at like 11:30 at night. So that was a full day of travel for basically like 2.5 hours.
And not just travel, but like travel and excitement. Like travel and doing really crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of like the first time I had done that kind of thing, like flown to another country for like that kind of like sneak peek preview kind of thing.
Yeah.
And oh man, there was so much travel involved, and I couldn't even like enjoy the moment afterwards, because like, guys, I need to go. I can't stay for lunch. I have to get on a train and then go back to the airport.
Right.
But it was so cool. Like the Capcom office is really neat. They have such like love for all of their games. Like all of their walls have just amazing artwork, like Monster Hunter, Mega Man, Devil May Cry, like everything.
Oh, it'd be so
and
cool.
It was really, really cool. And there were other content creators there. I won't say who they were. And we were just kind of hanging out, and they were like, okay, here you go. Check out the game. You can record this. You can't record this, blah, 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 blah. Like normal kind of, you sign an NDA.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is when you can release your content. So there was a strict embargo date.
Yep.
And it was just really exciting. And yeah, I was like, I need to record specific stuff. So I did something really, really cheeky is I went on Reddit and I just posted just a random post on the Street Fighter subreddit. I was like, what characters are you most excited to see more of?
Okay.
Just like completely ambiguous.
Yeah.
Just like
not giving the reason
anyone
why.
would post that.
Yeah.
You know, anyone would be like, oh, I'm excited for this character. So out of that thread, I had a notebook that I physically wrote down. Okay, people want to see Marisa, they want to see JP, they want to see DJ. So I had like a short list of what characters I was going to prioritize taking footage of.
Yeah.
And then I had this really silly idea, which was I looked at the Street Fighter V videos and what kind of had the most views from Street Fighter V. And one of them was just like all supers and all, you know, all critical arts in Street Fighter V. And I was like, you know what, if I have time, why don't I do that for the new characters?
Yeah. People love that stuff.
People love that stuff. So I was like, okay, that'll be the first video I do. And I spent so much of my time recording all of the supers because there's variations as well. So they have Super 1, 2, and 3, and then the critical art.
Yeah.
And it took so much time, and that took so much editing as well. So when I got home, I spent 4 days nonstop just editing videos.
Oh my God. While working a full-time job.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a huge just time sink, and you know, I just did nothing else for those days. And I communicated to my community like, hey, I'm working on something. I can't tell you what it is, but I'm working on something, and you're going to be excited about it.
Yeah.
And I remember, so I recorded a bunch of matches as well. And that was my first time getting my hands on Chun.
Okay.
I had just like recorded her super, and I spent like 2 minutes in training mode, just kind of being like, oh yeah, she has this, she has this. And it was really funny when I uploaded some of those matches. They're like, this Chun-Li player is very bad, but Manon has good fundamentals. And I'm like, I say at the beginning of this, like, I was like, I need to put a disclaimer in, like, hey, this is a preview event. This is my first time playing Chun-Li. So, you know, I just thought it would be fun to see, you know, these characters in action.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
you totally
so many comments from people like, this Chun-Li sucks. And I'm like, I explained this already.
Yeah.
But I very, very quickly realized that's just what YouTube is like, you know?
Yes. Especially for something that's like a hot commodity, like pre-release Street Fighter 6, you know, footage.
That morning was like the most stressful day of all of it, because it was like Tuesday morning at like 8 a.m. my time, Irish time. And I saw a bunch of other channels post like 17 videos at once. And my plan from the beginning was like, okay, I'm going to wait till like 5 or 6 o'clock, because that's when like America wakes up and is online.
Right.
And I was just literally set for like, how many hours? Like 8 hours watching all the other videos that were coming out, being like, okay, do I just press go, like, do I make it public now?
Yeah.
Or do I wait? And I waited all day, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it now. And then I just kind of closed my eyes. I walked away from my computer.
Yeah.
I like shared the link on a bunch of places, like, okay, out into the ether it goes.
Yeah.
And
I checked
my stats, and I was like, oh wow, people are actually watching this. This is good. Okay, I made the right decision.
That's
so then I was like, okay.
It's good to get that validation for sure. Yeah, your planning made sense.
Oh yeah, it was the most effort I've ever put into like any video. Like going to another country and like capturing stuff, bringing it back home, editing, and it was good to see that payoff. Because all of my other YouTube videos, like my most viewed YouTube video up until that was I went to a comedy gig. David O'Doherty is his name, and he was like, I'm going to workshop a new song for you all, and I recorded it. And I spoke to him afterwards, and he's like, I'll put that on YouTube. It will get loads of views. And it did. But then it's been sitting on my channel as like the top viewed video. And I'm like, this can't be my like legacy.
Yeah, this is not my identity of this channel.
But thankfully, it's not my top viewed video anymore. Like it's now surpassed. Like my 6th viewed or 7th viewed or something, which is good.
That's really funny.
So I just started like I had an idea where I was like, okay, well, the easy stuff to do is I'll post a match of this character versus another character this day. And then the next day I'll do like a CPU match, because people have
Yeah.
been watching a lot of those. I don't
Yeah.
think they watch them anymore. But before that, it was a good way of just saying like, oh, this is an optimal-ish combo for this
Right.
character. Like this is a feasible combo that someone could do.
Yeah, I saw a lot of
And
those style videos before the game came out for sure. Yeah.
yeah, so I kind of alternated that, and then I did some more kind of in-depth of like, oh, this is what the mini games are like.
Yeah.
And I did that kind of travel vlog thing, which was, I think it was like half an hour. And
Yeah.
I
It was
tried to edit it
substantial.
like, I just watched a bunch of these like travel vloggers and like what they do in their videos. I was like, okay, I'm not going to copy it, but I was like, okay, they always have like an intro where there's music and there's like smash cut in the taxi, on the plane.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll do that. That's gonna be cool.
I feel like at the end you had said in the video that like this is your first time doing that type of video, and like I was literally like, oh shit, really? Like, 'cause I was like, that was good. that was well done.
I always try and make that kind of audio sync up to the video at some point.
Sure.
Like if I got like a good song, I'm like, okay, boom, boom, boom,
Right.
cut. I love that in trailers as well.
Yes.
Whenever like some game is coming out and they're like, shoot the gun, and it's like boo, boo, boo to the time of the music.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for that. So I always try to put that in.
Yeah, no, it was you had made that comment on the video. I was like, oh shit. I wouldn't have thought that was the first that was the first attempt. That was really well done. I really enjoyed that video. I think it was after I watched that I messaged you to ask if you wanted to come on the podcast. I was like, oh, she's got so much to talk about this game. I just want.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was awesome, but exhausting. I'm sure. Yeah, that would be a long freaking day.
Yeah. And it did give me like a good like 3 or 4 weeks of videos.
Yeah.
Because like as you said, that drip feed.
Yes.
And also so I could actually edit them. Like those first 4 days I edited like 2.5 videos.
Right.
So I still had to take the time and do the others. Like people who put like 15 videos out on day one, like I don't know how they managed to edit them and like put them out that fast. I'm so impressed.
That's crazy, yeah. But yeah, no, you had a good steady feed, and like I said, that's when I found your stuff. I think it was there was a Chun-Li versus Manon video. I think is when I said that's that whatever one you said had like that blew up. That was the one that
that's that
showed
one.
up on because I've been watching a bunch of Street Fighter 6 stuff, so it snuck its way in there too. But yeah, it was great, and it made the wait easier for me having that just like steady stream of just short form videos to watch. So yeah, that really cool. Great on you for just like you said, telling yourself you're going to say yes to more things, and saying yes to that would have been real stressful. But I mean, what a memory, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'll definitely treasure that memory of just that whole trip, even though it was exhausting, because it was so cool.
In the moment, sure, but you won't remember that, 5 years from now. You'll remember how amazing the trip was, right? So speaking of doing stuff for Capcom, you mentioned that you had done, I think it was the Celtic Throwdown. You were involved in one of those, right?
Yeah, so Celtic Throwdown was, unfortunately it doesn't exist anymore, but it was Ireland's premier fighting game tournament. And it was an official stop on the Capcom Pro Tour, the Tekken World Tour, and I'm really sorry I don't know the name of it, but whatever the Guilty Gear version of that is.
I
whatever
forget it as well. Yeah. Sorry, that's not a game I play, so I don't remember the name of the tournament.
This interview's over.
Yeah. I can't play that many fighting games.
But it was really cool. So when I was talking about going to locals and going to weeklies before, like that group of friends that I made there, that's kind of like the genesis of Celtic Throwdown. Like people from that group were like, we could do bigger, better. Like we could make Ireland actually like an actual stop on the map.
Right.
So like, because we always have to travel. If we want to go to a tournament, like a big tournament, we'd have to go at least to the UK, which is like an hour and a half on a plane.
Right.
Or, to somewhere in Europe, or obviously the biggest ones in the world, like Evo, all the way over to America, which is pretty huge.
Yeah.
So the first year, they approached me and they're like, "Hey, you're a streamer. Would you like to stream for Celtic Throwdown? We've got this many games. We want to stream all of these games simultaneously." And it was really good. Once again, a lot of work goes into that because, you go to the hotel or whatever venue, you got to set up like all of the setups. You got to set
Right.
up your stream, and like things go wrong as well on stream, and you can't really stop and start over. You have to
Yeah.
just react and try and fix it.
Yeah.
And it's such I love that. It's so much fun. Absolutely exhausting weekend, but just kind of seeing everyone having a great time.
So when you say like you were like involved in that, like that specific, like what would, like what did you do as part of it? Like what?
Yeah.
Like what kind of stuff did you contribute, kind of thing?
So I ran streams for like the officials, one of the official streams for the games.
Okay.
So for example, say if on Saturday you had like Street Fighter, Tekken, Guilty Gear, Smash, we would kind of divide them up between the different streams. So
Gotcha.
I would have like maybe two or three different games on a day. So Saturday would be like the pools. So it'd be like, okay, Smash pools, Tekken pools, Guilty Gear pools or whatever. And then finals on the final day of whatever games. So it would be like full 2 days of streaming.
Wow.
And thankfully I didn't have to like run the brackets and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because that's a whole other thing. Running brackets, like chasing down people, getting them
is
over.
a whole other skill set, I feel like. At a big tournament like that.
I used to run, I mentioned games rooms in like conventions. I used to run games rooms for some conventions in Ireland, way smaller scale.
Okay.
But you would still have like 40 or 50 people sign up to do a tournament.
Okay.
And like, yeah, it is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare. Because you're like, okay, I have the bracket. I tell them to be back at this time, and then they're just not back.
Yeah.
And they're not there, and it holds up the whole thing, and just like,
and then it
okay,
holds
I'm
up
disqualifying you.
Yeah.
And they show up 5 minutes later, and I'm like, no, why'd you disqualify me? And it's like, you're 20 minutes late. You know?
Yeah, that's a whole other level of stress that I don't think I could manage.
Yeah.
That's cool though
It just goes to show.
And it's cool that it's like that like small group of people that you sort of found your way into Street Fighter with, like evolved eventually into something of that scale. That's really cool actually, because that's like many
that
years
is the
later.
Power of that community as well, like the Irish fighting game community. I mean, I haven't been a part of like the French fighting game community, but like it's such a great experience. Like I would rank them at the top.
Nice.
I'm very biased, but like amazing group of lads, like so good. And I would not have gotten into Street Fighter in the way that I did if it wasn't for them, like being really welcoming of me. Like that first day that I showed up at Weeklies, and I was like, yeah.
If you had just like ran into people that were like, just like, you know, like bashing you for how bad, like, and you never went back, like, how different would the, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy that it's just all thanks to just a nice, welcoming community like that. That like, look what that has spiraled into. You know, Street Fighter 4 was like what 11 or 12
2009.
Years? Yeah, I was gonna say like 10 years. Like
Almost
no, it's
14
more
years
than that.
ago.
Oh my god, I feel old. Because that's crazy that it just evolved into that. That's really wild. And what a cool thing to be able to like put on like your like gamer resume. You know what I mean? To be like you ran streams for this huge tournament. I think that's awesome.
It helped a lot. And also, it's really good, especially if you're trying to reach out for jobs in the gaming industry as well.
Yeah,
because you can be like, okay, well, this might not be relevant to the specific role I'm applying for, but it shows I'm passionate about games.
Yes.
And I'm involved in this kind of event. It's the same for like conventions as well. Like even if you volunteered at a convention one time, but you're applying for a job in like animation or something, you know, you're like, okay, put that in. You know, they want to see that. You will stand out a bit. you know?
Yeah.
And it's a good talking point as well
Yep.
to learn more about you.
Yeah, that's definitely a feather in your cap for sure, to be able to have been involved. Was it more than one, or was it? I don't know if you had said it
Celtic
was multiple.
Throwdown.
I feel like there was
It was
more
the
than one,
first
right?
three or for Celtic Throwdown. I was involved. I think the first 3, maybe 4 years.
Okay.
And then before that, I was working in conventions for like another 4 years, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was really good though because kind of working at tournaments and at conventions, you see like the two sides of the people who will play fighting games. You got
True.
that really
Yes.
dedicated competitive player and people who are just like, oh, I know Ryu in Street Fighter, I will play him.
Yeah.
And then it's actually it's Ryu, and like that's the kind of person who goes to an anime convention, you know.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's totally different vibes, but
Yes. But
it's really
just
nice to
both
see both
sharing
sides.
love of the game from different sides, right? So
Yeah.
and nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned like stuff you've done with your community and things like that a lot. You've done some really cool charity stuff with your community too.
Oh yeah.
If you want to tell me some about that, I well, I'll let you. Yeah, you're the expert on this, so yeah, let us.
Oh, okay.
Fill me in on some of that work.
Sure, yeah. So I did my first charity stream, I think 2 years ago. So the Irish Cancer Society reached out to me and were like, hey, we found you from blah, blah, blah. Like, we know you're an Irish streamer. We're doing this event. Would you like to take part? And I was like, oh my God, yeah. I've never actually done this before. And I don't know why I haven't done this before.
Sure.
So I did that, and I can't remember exactly how much we raised the very first year. I think it was like above $2,000. It might have been 3,000.
Wow.
Which was wild because that was one stream.
That's
and
crazy.
I was like, "Wow, okay, holy crap!" My community is so much more amazing than I thought. I think so highly of my community.
Yeah.
There was at that moment I was like, "Oh wow! Like we can make some sort of difference."
Yeah.
Like I'm being a goofball playing video games, and for some reason that's a good catalyst for people to give charity money. You know.
Yeah. Well,
So
you just get
it
like
reached-
a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a happy group of people. Happy is not the right word, but like a positive group of people surrounding you because of the kind of atmosphere you create with your videos and your streaming. That it's like that just happens to also be people that are generally very charitable people, like that want to help and things like that, right? So, yeah, that's it's always nice to see that like the people supporting you will kind of answer the call, so to speak, when stuff like that comes around.
Yeah, and I mean, from a streamer perspective as well, like you have to be really careful that you set boundaries with people as well. Be like, listen, this is a good cause.
Yes.
But don't give money if it's gonna put you in a bad position either. Like
Absolutely,
only if you
yes.
can.
Yes.
Like just because you saw someone else donate like
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
I mean, you could donate one or none, and that's still fine. Like you just being here and being part of the moment is still like really important.
Yes.
And
Yes, that's important too. Yeah.
they reached out to me then the next year, but I had just started a new job, and I was like, oh, I can't. I'm really sorry, but like, I can't do it right now. But if you reach out to me next year, I promise you I'll do it. And they remembered, and they reached out to me, and they're like, hey, last year you said this, you couldn't do it, which is fine, but do you want to do it again? I was like, 100%, let's do it. Boom, done. And it was a whole different format this time. So it was like a raid train of Irish streamers. So one person would start streaming at one time. It'd have like a 2 or 3 hour slot. And the next person's slot starts, they would raid them and bring everyone over.
That's so
and
cool.
kind of over and over.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a really great idea. So instead of doing like a full day stream, I did, I think, just 2 hours.
Okay.
And I think I was playing Final Fantasy. I was playing Resident Evil 4.
Okay.
Remake.
Oh, so this is recent, very recent.
Yeah, this is just a few months ago.
Oh, awesome.
And it was wild because for some reason I was convinced of putting goals in for reaching specific
Oh,
milestones.
oh no.
And I have a kazoo here. And I like, kind of like, yeah, I'll do the Hamilton rap if we reach 500 raised. Or I'll do the speech from this movie as Toad from Super Mario because
Oh, I
we
saw
somehow
a
haven't
video
touched on this yet.
I saw a video on your YouTube that said Toad's speech or something, and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what that's gonna be. I didn't click on it yet, but
You should check it out later. You won't be disappointed.
now that I have the context, I will 100% check that out. Yes.
Yeah, we've talked about Street Fighter a lot, but like in my streams, I stream so many different games,
Yeah.
and a lot of the time I will do impressions or like really bad jokes, like
I did
not
see one
crude
labeled
jokes, but
like
just like unfunny jokes.
I did see one that was like Kermit impression or something, and I didn't know what that was going to be either. But now I'm definitely going to look at that one too.
You won't be disappointed by that either. But it's just like, yeah, that fun, like silly,
Yeah.
you know, kind of atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And like it's not something that I would show. Like I don't think I would want to show off. Like, here's my Bane impression from, you know, hello, there's Bane. Like I wouldn't. That would not be the first thing I'd want someone to see of my stream.
Sure.
But you know, just it being there is good.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's little prompts with like channel points that people can redeem
Yeah.
to like be like, here, tell this joke as this person, or like do an impression of Knuckles, or you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And it worked very well for raising money for charity. Like we smashed the goal very quickly.
Awesome. Good for you.
And it was great. And then 1 month later, I did another stream for Make-A-Wish Foundation, who also reached out to me separately, just
Wow.
randomly. So I was like, you know what? I'm saying yes to things this year. So
Yeah.
yes,
Good for you.
I'll do it. And that was a month-long thing, so completely different format. I was like, whenever I stream, people can give money to charity.
Okay.
And it's like, it's a no kind of like, I'm not being super pushy about it. Like, I'm doing this. You can give money. If you don't want to, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll be here the whole month. And that was great too. But the one thing I found out was like, I think I need to space these out more, because people just gave money to this one charity, and then only a month later I'm doing another one.
Yeah.
Like, I think I bombarded people a bit too much. Like, it's a good cause. They're both really good causes. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. But I feel like next year, I think if they're so close together, I need to just pick one.
Yeah.
And then maybe I could do another one the second half of the year or something like that.
And I wouldn't even say it's like an issue of like, it's nothing against either cause. It's just you want to be able to contribute to that cause, and it's hard to do that twice in like a very short amount of time, right? Because like you said, we don't want to put pressure on people or whatever for donating.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You want to be, if you say yes, you want to be able to deliver something, you know, by helping them, and it can just be hard when they're spaced that close together. So yeah, I totally get that. That's something I would not have thought of either. But it makes total sense. Yeah.
I think that's why like GDQ is really successful. They
Yes.
have the summer one and the winter one.
Yeah.
And they do other stuff in between, but those are the main ones that like really fundraise,
Yeah.
you know?
I love watching those. Yeah.
Oh, I love that too.
Yeah. And it's always like, my brother and I have talked about this, but it's like, there's the week it's on, and that's all I watch. That's all I ever have on my second monitor. Then the next week, I watch all the things that I missed while I was working. And then the third week is I'm depressed because I have nothing to watch. Because I've just been watching speedruns straight for 2 weeks. But yeah.
What's your favorite type of speedrun? So for me, it goes into like someone showing off like really deep technical knowledge and really great execution to finish a game, versus like, I'm going to go so fast that I glitch into the wall and then I backflip and then blah, 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 and then I've gone so fast the camera can't even see me anymore and I have to wait for it to catch up.
Yeah.
Those are my two genres for me.
Yeah, I think I'm more of the first variety that you said. Because like an example I always give is watching people do like Mario 64 like 120 star runs, because I'm like watching like, how are you doing this? Like, I know what you're doing, but how are you doing it so fast? So I think I like the ones that are way more technically demanding,
Sure.
versus just breaking the game, which those can be funny, don't get me wrong. And I enjoy watching some of them for some of the ways the game tries to fix what you're doing. But the ones that are just like really intense technical execution, I find fascinating. Blindfolded ones, I really like too, though. Watching someone know how to memorize, like I think it was SGDQ just a couple weeks ago. Someone beat Breath of the Wild blindfolded, beat the game in
That's so wild
in
to
like
me.
an hour and a half. And it's like you just got to have so many ways to like normalize your movement and your position so you always know exactly where you are. But like to remember all of that for 90 minutes and it's just yeah, blindfolded ones have becoming more popular, and I've been enjoying those a lot. But I think that kind of falls under the technical execution too, because you have to be very good at what you're doing as well. But yeah, I think I'm more with you on that style of speedrun. I love watching those.
I think I've kind of I don't think my categories are correct now because glitch runs as well. A lot of the time they require even more good execution to like pull off like that kind of
Sure.
like
But I
I need to
think
be on this specific pixel to go in. I like them both. I will say.
sure. I like watching all of them for sure. The ones I just like more are the more like intense technical
Totally,
execution.
totally.
Like I'll always use like Mario 64 like 120 star runs as like
Yeah,
the epitome for me. Like I could watch those all day. They're so
yeah.
impressive.
I do love a good Sonic run because that they're like, okay, we have two choices. I can show you the version where I've installed a camera mod so it will keep up with him, or I can
Yeah.
show you the version where I'm off and I'm playing the level,
Yeah.
but you just can't see it and I can't see it. It's almost like a blindfolded run, but I'm
Yeah,
getting through
pretty
so
much.
fast that you will see him at the end in about 5 seconds.
Yeah. There was a couple like that I remember of. Was it Mario 3D World, where it was like a climbing level auto scroller, and he just did the whole level, and you could hear him doing all the stuff, and then hit the star. But like, yeah, he just has to memorize
Hmm.
how many jumps and whatever and like stuff. It's like very much like that Sonic example because, yeah, that just takes a whole other skill set that I don't understand. I guess.
Yeah, I think there's a good parallel between speed running and fighting games where
Yeah,
it's like repetition and practice.
absolutely. Yeah, you're on the
You know,
grind one way or the other,
hmm
just learning a different skill set. Um, but that is really cool to hear. I love hearing people give back through charity streams and stuff like that. Cancer is a thing that is big in my family, so that hits the heartstrings for me for sure.
hmm
And so that's really cool that you were able to use your community, for good, and
I
really
instead of evil,
yeah,
nefarious
exactly.
purposes.
Yeah, exactly. That's really cool, and I when I hear stuff like that, that really resonates with me, especially when it's cancer related. So,
Yeah,
thanks for using your and it's like because you have to put on a show to a point, to really deliver on that stuff, right? Like you said, like the silly stretch goals and things like that.
yeah,
And not everyone is comfortable doing that stuff, so it's really cool that you're willing to kind of put yourself out there to do that type of thing and really raise money for a good cause. So that's really cool. I'm glad to hear that kind of stuff. Anytime I hear a content creator getting involved in that kind
yeah.
of thing.
And I feel like I feel weird taking credit for it because like at the end of the day, like I'm just doing my normal thing that I do on stream, really. Like I'm
Sure,
a bit of a goofball. I don't mind, making fun of myself and, being the butt of the joke
sure,
at my own expense.
yeah,
And honestly, like it's I'm I'm tearing up here. It's I don't know how I got into this place where I have such a great community of people.
hmm
Um, it's that kind of stuff really cements it, being like, holy crap, like these are real great people
Yeah.
who, for some reason, decide that they like the stuff that I do.
Well, it goes back, and you can take some credit for it because it goes back to what I was saying about one of the reasons why I liked your videos is you have a level of authenticity to the way, whether it's being, you're being serious or being silly. It's like it doesn't feel like you're being fake, and doing that is what will bring in those types of people. I think if you're an authentic person online with your content creation, I just think you attract more of that type of good community type of people, and then that just puts you in a good position to, like I think you said, you called it being like a conduit for those good things to happen. But you made the choice to be that authentic personality when you're doing streams and videos, so that you're in a good position for that to happen. So, some credit is due to you for sure.
I've tricked you.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible person.
Yeah.
Persona.
But before we started recording, she was berating me for 30 straight minutes.
I told you not to tell them that. This interview is over.
Yeah. All right, that's 3 strikes. I guess we're done. Okay, so I had more I wanted to talk to you about, but I don't want to keep you too long. I will throw a quick
speed run it if you want, since we're talking about speed runs.
I'll throw a quick plug in. I loved your Street Fighter 6 review video. I don't know, and I can't. I was like trying to, like, it sounds silly, but it's like, why did I like yours more than other people's videos? But it's the way, I feel like the way you explained the mechanics and all the intricacies, to a certain degree, you explained it in such a way that, like, me, who's not very good at Street Fighter, I was like, oh, I was following what you were saying, if that makes sense. And I just feel like you had a very well structured review, and I think because was it an early copy? Because the review was out before the game was out, right?
Yeah. So for the review, I had the full copy of the game a few days early. So I didn't want to use too much of the footage from my London trip,
right?
Because, like, stuff may have changed.
Right.
So that was another, man, I can't believe I didn't mention this earlier, but this was another multiple days of recording and then editing. And then I had to write a script to very roughly outline, okay, I'll talk about, world tour here.
Yeah.
I should do an overview of the whole video first, maybe, so people know what to expect. I should talk about the versus modes, all this sort of stuff. So I had, like, this rough outline, and then I may have done this backwards. So if anyone actually is good at making videos, you can tell me if this is the right way to do it. But I recorded just a bunch of footage first. So I went through the world tour mode, played some matches against CPU, that sort of stuff. And I was like, okay, I have about 7 hours of just raw B-roll.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can find bits to slot in while I'm talking.
Yeah.
And then as the script kind of evolved, I was like, oh, drive impact, I should talk about the whole system. So then I went back and I was like, okay, I want to talk about this, this, and this. I'll record this, this, and this.
Right.
So it ended up just being this back and forth of writing, editing, recording, like this mess of it. So it wasn't like I'm writing the video, then I record it, then I edit it. It was just like constant every day. And somehow I managed to get it done. I actually, like, finished the video like 2 hours before I uploaded it. Like 2 hours before it went live.
Like before you were allowed to upload it, essentially?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So it was like, okay, I think I would go back and I would polish up some stuff about it, but I mean, like, 22 minutes long, and
it's substantial. Yeah, it's very thorough. So whether it was a, not done in the most efficient way possible, which it was
probably not.
That was like your first, like, long form review, I think, right? Like,
first time ever. Yeah.
And so of course it's going to be messy that first time. But truly, I think it went live, or at least I saw it pop up when I was at work. So on, like, my lunch break, I watched it, and I was already sold. Like, after the I got in on the last no, was it the open beta? Yeah, open beta. And like I had been obsessed with the game for the year leading up to it. So like I was already in, like I was already ready to buy this game, but like watching that video just made me like so much more excited just because of the way you structured it and really deep dived in the things that I feel like benefited most from deep diving. And again, and I think I used this word when I was talking to you about coming on that podcast, but you're so authentic when you're explaining stuff. Like you're not dumbing it down or like trying to.
Yeah, I don't put on that like reporter voice. Like, hello, Chad. I am looking at Street Fighter 6 today, and this is blah, 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 you know.
Yeah.
Actually, if you watch the Chun versus Manon video, I like the first 2 sentences is kind of like, hello, Street Fighters. I'm blah blah blah, and then immediately I'm like, anyway, this is this. Like I physically couldn't do it. For like...
and whatever that element of it is really resonates with me at least, and I really like it because it feels more like a friend is chatting to me about the game, if that makes sense. Yeah. So anyway, I really loved your review. So I'll actually put a link to it in the description of this video as well. If anyone has
tell them to comment and subscribe and all that good
absolutely stuff. You guys, if you're not already following Ms. Cupcakes, what did I say? Cupcakes.
Ooh, that'd be my superhero name.
I was about to say Sophie, and I was like, I should probably use the name they should search, and but that is your superhero version. That's a good idea.
Oh,
you can have that.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have to steal it.
Yeah. But
legally binding, by the way, this recording.
That's right. Yeah, everyone is a witness. Yeah. But yeah, I will for sure link that video, and you guys should definitely watch it because, especially if anyone's still on the fence about the game, because I feel like you did a really good job on getting me excited about it. So I just wanted to compliment you on that review because I know it was like your only really like long form video review, and I was like, damn, that was a good first try.
See, that's the thing as well. Like people are complimenting me about like my editing and pacing and stuff, and I'm like, I've just pulled this out of nowhere. Like I have been putting videos out, not consistently, but like for a while. Yeah. And like every time I make a video, I get a little bit better at it.
For sure.
And it adds up. And also just watching other videos. Yeah. And you have to be careful that you don't accidentally rip off an entire style. But just being like, oh, that was cool when they did this shot talking about this. And then there was like a cut to this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, I could do something similar, you know?
Yeah.
So just like, I've watched so many reviews and I didn't want to watch like IGN's reviews or anything because I don't want to copy like that kind of style.
Right.
I don't want that to influence me. So I ended up just watching loads of random reviews for loads of random games over the past like 5 years. Just kind of see like what do people usually talk about in reviews.
Right.
And I felt weird scoring it out of 10 or giving it how many stars out of 5 because I'm like I don't do this.
Yeah.
At the very
you even
end, I
like said
like,
something to that effect in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think my review of the game was like this reinvigorated my passion in fighting games or something, which it really did, you know, because I haven't played Street Fighter V in a while.
Right.
So it kind of sucked me back in, and I remembered why I was excited about Street Fighter when it came out. Street Fighter V.
And I think the numbers are mostly arbitrary anyway. To me, the review, I think people get more out of the reviews nowadays based on like you talking about your experience with it. Because especially when it's like a single person, not like a big corporate review or whatever. It's like this individual person's journey with this game, to me, is worth more than a number at the end. So that's why I think I liked the format you used, because you did cover a lot of that type of discussion in the video throughout. So yeah, super good. Really enjoyed that. Didn't need to be sold on the game, but it just made me that much more excited for when it comes out.
It's okay. You can give me all the credit.
Sure.
Let Capcom know.
Yeah, I'll tell them
the reason.
No, that's right. I'll tell them that I bought it because of your review, even though I paid for it before.
They don't need to know that part.
Yeah, that's fine. I won't tell them that part.
Cut.
Speed run to like two little things quickly, and then I'll let you go. I think I also commented this on your video when I first saw it. You're the first one I saw that did Chun-Li's like little pouty sort of face she does on the versus screen.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, I am never not doing that face for as long as I
It's
play
so
this
good.
game. And it's just like, I love those stupid faces on the versus screen.
The
It's
best
something,
feature.
yeah,
It really is.
something
Whoever
nobody.
came up with that idea,
Yeah.
and it was like, hey, listen, this is not like a crucial feature to the game, but I think this would be fun to put in.
Yeah.
I bet they prototyped that and was like, we can do it. And they were like, okay, do it.
Yeah.
Let's go with
Yeah.
it.
Something nobody asked for, but I will never not do a face on that screen. And then the other thing I noticed in the open beta, which is just some of these small touches that I love about this game, in like the audio options, you could like manually change the volume of like hits, blocks, clothing whooshes, and like all these different things. And I was like, because that was one thing that got me in like the first trailer, was like how crunchy the sound of the hits are. So I was like, I'm cranking those all the way up. I love that sound. And it's just like such a weird thing that someone to have thought to be able to like mix those, volumes differently. But I love it. And I immediately went in and changed, and like the clothing sound is like, I think it's more when you're doing like supers and stuff, the more cinematic stuff. But it's,
yeah.
I turned those all the way up. I love that stuff.
I'm thinking as well, it's probably good for accessibility as well, like people who rely on the sounds. Because I feel so bad I've forgotten the name of this player, but there's a pretty well-known blind player who played Street Fighter V, and he just used the audio cues, and because the game, he could tell what side he was on based on
like
all
what
of these different things
coming out of, or
yeah. So that kind of stuff is really great for, and like it adds accessibility, like modern controls adds accessibility for people who have trouble doing motion inputs. So all of these different features add up.
I'm pretty sure it's in with those sounds. Like it's in the menu where you can turn on that like distance pinging that it does. It's like in there.
That's so cool, isn't it?
But it's also just like, but I don't need those other settings, but like, let me hear that punch. Like, let me turn that all the way up. So I guess that's probably where it came out of, is adding to the accessibility stuff. But it's just a nice, side effect of that is that I get to just turn up those sounds.
You can nerd out about the thing that you really like and turn it up. Yeah.
And it's just such cool little stuff. And I just love the fucking RE engine. I love that engine so much.
It's really cool. Like, you look at Resident Evil, you look at Monster Hunter, you look at this.
It's insane. It's black magic. I don't understand how this engine is so good. And it adds so much expressiveness to the character faces, especially. Like, I was playing the other night, and I was against Manon, and she did her, like, super, and, like, the face on Chun-Li when she's getting thrown to the ground after the little dance that she does is just so funny. Like, she's, like, in so much, like, shock or something. I don't know what it is, but the RE engine is just so good for facial capture and facial animation, and that adds so much. When I look at videos of, like, Street Fighter 4 and 5, and I look at their faces, I'm like, oh my god, how did I ever play those? I was just like, I'm so spoiled now with Street Fighter 6 and the new engine. But yeah, those are just my little tidbits I just had to gush about because I love that stuff in this game.
It's good too because like there's a framework there for like character creation.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Monster Hunter Rise and you look at this game, it's like, okay, yeah, this is the same,
I don't think they're as cursed in Monster Hunter as in Street Fighter.
That's true.
But yeah, but it's the skeleton. That's a good way of putting it. It's like very clearly the template they use for character creation, which lends itself perfectly to a Street Fighter open world mode where you make your own fighter. So
that'd be the next big thing. Like I don't know if Exoprimal has a character creator, but could you imagine like, oh, you have Street Fighter 6 character customization data. Do you want to import this into this other RE engine game?
God.
Could you imagine?
That'd be insane.
The beefy guys on top, but they got the skinniest, shortest legs ever, and they're just like
little
running
exo
around.
legs, just like Stewie running across. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be crazy, going like cross like franchise with that character creator. But anyway, yeah, those are just a couple of speed run things I wanted to go through. But yeah, like I said, I will definitely put a link to your review in the description because I really truly thought it was great, and it really got me excited to play the game more. So anything else that you want to plug, or any upcoming videos that you're working on, or anything you want to tell us before we call it a day?
Ooh, I don't have a sneak peek of what video I'm gonna come up with next because I don't know either.
Sure, yeah.
Probably cool Chun-Li combos and things like that. Is kind of on my radar.
Cool.
I've been a bit sick last week, so I didn't make any videos or I didn't stream too much. So I need to like get back in and do stuff. But
get back to 100%.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. It's mscupcake91 because Becky stole my damn name and she hasn't posted in 5 goddamn years. I bet she's having a great life and doesn't even think about it. But
living her high life over there with your name. How dare she?
Yeah. I mean, I have a Discord and stuff as well. If you search mscupcakes, you can find lots of stuff for that. But cool. I'll give you links so you can put them in the video.
Yeah. I'll absolutely.
Thanks so much for having me here. This is really fun. This is great. Just chatting and.
I really appreciate you making the time. Like I said, my brother and I, Street Fighter's a bit of a blind spot for him. And I just have been playing so much that I wanted to talk about it. And I was like, oh, I know she would want to talk about Street Fighter. So
we can convert him.
Yeah, eventually I'll get him. Modern controls, I might be able to do it. I might be able to convert him. So thanks again, Sophie. Super, super appreciate it. And I'll put all your links to everything so everyone can find you on the socials. And maybe come Tekken 8, maybe I'll see if I can pull you aside again to chat about that.
Let's see if my Xiaoyu holds up.
Yeah. Well, you got your Xiaoyu and I got my Asuka, so I can play. I'm good.
Ooh, okay, perfect.
I got my main, so we'll talk again when Tekken 8 comes around, and maybe we can get you on again.
We'll do some money matches or something.
Okay. Yeah.
If I lose, I go on the podcast, and if I win, you go on my stream or something.
Yeah. We'll trade services. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Right on. Well, thanks again, and thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you probably the next time. Me and my brother will be talking about Final Fantasy 16. So we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thanks again, Sophie, and have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.